Sandhya. Actually, I want to make a brief point about the Aadhaar scheme. It has got many dimensions. I want to try to get into that. To my understanding, it has got three major threats. First of all, what is the scheme? The scheme collects and extracts data and stores. And the government is the agency. Now the threats are first, the data may be accessed by authorized or unauthorized private agencies for quote-unquote legitimate or illegitimate purposes, including theft of identity. That's the threat number one. Threat number two is coming from the custodian of the data itself. They can monitor your activities, your movements, your thoughts, and stuff like that. And the threat number three, just overnight, they can turn you into a non-being. Just by deactivating the Aadhaar number, they can deactivate your ATM card, your bank account, your ability to purchase a reserved seat on a train or plane or whatever, all sort of stuff like that, your mobile phone connection, etc., etc. So these are the three dangers which we must be aware of and we must take into consideration.
Yeah, please give questions, statements, whatever, and then collectively we could. I think there's a mic there.
My name is Nevin Peter. I just want to say, to protect our civil liberties, we should also push back the civil society by pushing back at the political parties. And one way to do it is by starting a movement. I see many young reporters here, starting a movement where we make it compulsory whether a party receives a fund of 1 rupee or it receives 1 crore of rupees, the person who gives the donation has to give his Aadhaar card.
Now if we come to donations of political parties, there are electoral trusts. I must mention, so all these corporates giving money, so they give money to a particular trust, and this trust then pays which political party. I think that also needs to be highlighted, so that there's no Aadhaar and all stuff for donation to political party. Its Aadhaar is only for the people and the citizens of India. That's it. So it's absolute surveillance on the citizens of India, but it's not surveillance on the government. So that I think somebody can just specify on that. Electoral trust.
I've got three questions. One, the role of liberalism from the age of Middle Ages, that is Dark Ages, to the present, and why it is shrinking so fast. That is one question. Second question is in respect of the so-called judgment which was delivered by the Supreme Court in the month of August, which you are applauding every time. But the effect of that judgment and the effect of the latest judgment of the Goya and the scuttling of all constitutional rights at the same bench, what is the reaction of this particular point? And last point, there was one important judgment delivered last year by the Constitutional Bench in respect of right of the making propaganda, and that was whether that is addressed to the individual by the candidate or at large. I think that is very important issue which will come up in the this will be important point which requires some discussion.
I'm Devan. I just wanted to ask about Professor J.N. Sai Baba, who was convicted 2 years back. I wanted to ask, his evidences were not even directly presented at the court, so under what basis is he being presented?
Hi, I'm Aegis Jain. I'm very glad to see so many people here. Hopefully, 10 years down the line, in the history books, there won't be any parallels drawn to Hindu parricide in Nazi Germany. What's happening all around us. Regarding Aadhaar, it is optional yet mandatory to trade on any stock platform. It is optional yet mandatory to get a new SIM. It is optional yet mandatory Aadhaar to buy a new life insurance policy, or anything that you do requires an Aadhaar right now. So tomorrow you want to go access a public toilet, the government will know that you're there. The key points are, tomorrow if this Aadhaar system is being imposed by the government, what rights do I have, or does the UN even allow me to disconnect what I've already connected from the system that they have designed, whatever they call behind 10 or 13 feet walls, which is apparently hackers need to physically access servers to be able to hack into systems. That is what they have been doing as far as because I guess during the times of Mahabharata or whatever, that is how hackers access databases. Also, this whole idea of Facebook meddling with US elections was considered paranoia a few years ago, and now we know it's true. So I hope you can all look at the bigger picture and understand Aadhaar is not a welfare scheme, it is a mass surveillance system.
So there's the master of the mic, sir.
Yeah, about again referring to the August judgment and what's been going on in the courts, the same judge seems to be playing the advocate for UDI, and at least yesterday in the newspapers what I read is that he asked the government leader that Aadhaar doesn't collect religious or caste-based data, so it doesn't. It protects privacy altogether. So where is the case leading? Because is the previous judgment actually being mischievously used?
Yeah, can we do? Yeah, we can do.
Just two more questions.
Okay, fine.
Thank you. My name is Faridun Bhujwala. Hi. And I want to know about the right to protest, because they're mandatory and just discard our request to protest on Marine Drive, the Maidan, Churchgate Station. They say you're not allowed, VIP area. And when we are allowed to protest, we're put into the little cage at Azad Maidan, which nobody sees, so we take selfies of us protesting. It's ridiculous. And the last time we had protests for the rape at Carter Road, the poor kids who said we want justice, the cops shoved them away. I mean, they were not violent, they were not doing anything, it was a peaceful protest, but they shouted at people and said, we want justice. So where can we take this right to protest, and how can we have it? That tomorrow, if I want to walk down Marine Drive saying whatever it is, I want peace, I want a happy city back. I'm not allowed to do it, the cops throw me into a thing. We took posters saying, no statue, and the cops threw that away, because Modi was coming in that day. We weren't allowed to walk down Marine Drive. Thank you.
You wanted one more question? Okay, fine.
See, the fact is that the very strong judgment was given in August on privacy, and then 1 week later, we were informed that a 24-year-old girl didn't have the right to, even attend college without having a guardian appointed for her. So, I think we can be all very sure, and that was one of the same judges, yes, who had supposedly given a very strong judgment in the privacy case. So, I think we can be sure that there's very deliberate attempt at giving mixed messages over here. Yes, we can have a very strong constitution, but no, you can't have a very strong legal system to support it. That's really the strong takeaway from this. Questions were asked about Aadhaar, about the manner. I want to say very strongly over here that forget what is being done to adults. Please understand that for the last 3 years, children have been enrolled, there is no question of consent, and there is no question of them choosing to get out of it when they attain majority. So let's be sure that what is being enforced on the country is a system where dissent is going out of the window. And unless we get a strong judgment in this case which is currently being heard, there is no chance of this being reversed. But if you ask me today as a petitioner, then I'm sorry, I don't think that we're going to get a very strong judgment, because it seems very clear that the court and the manner in which the court is operating and the manner in which the Chief Justice seems to be under pressure to do things his own way and throwing some of the tenets of jurisprudence out of the window, that seems to be a clear message going to the whole country. And that might be one of the reasons, although the topic here today is actually about freedom of expression and not about Aadhaar as such. But that might be one more method by which freedom of expression is in fact being thrown out of the window.
I just wanted to say that, Seema, you raised the question whether the earlier wonderful judgment is being mischievously used. Now, if you read the earlier judgment carefully, that judgment itself is mischievous. Okay, it's not being mischievously used. Justice Chandrachud, who wrote the earlier judgment, the majority judgment, makes it very clear in one of his paragraphs. While he says the right to privacy, yes, for everything, then he makes two exceptions. Okay? One is security of the state, and second, welfare schemes. Okay, he makes these two exceptions in the privacy judgment. Okay, opening up the next round as to what it. He very clearly says that if welfare schemes are there, then right to privacy can be violated. He says that very clearly in that in the old earlier judgment. That is now being expanded further. Okay, that point is being expanded further and given legitimacy by what they are doing now. Okay, of course they will put certain caveats, etc., when they pass the judgment. Okay? That this can't be done, you can't give it to private parties, you can't do this, you can't do that. To what extent those caveats will actually be functional is a separate issue altogether. Okay? But whether they will strike down mandatory Aadhaar, I don't think so. Okay? I hope I'm proved wrong, but I don't think so. Okay? This is how I look at it.
Actually, I want to just say one thing. This is not of Aadhaar, but somebody asked this question about protest. Now, Mihir, you can tell us, but there is a very colonial hang-up, leftovers. One of the leftover is that you need to take police permission to hold a kind of protest and all that. And what happens on the ground, getting the permission is one thing, but what happens on the ground is some constable decides this poster won't work, this poster, because they are being extra cautious and extra authoritarian, shall we say. But I just want to say one thing, that when you really look at this city had a strong protest culture, very strong protest culture. And how it has been whittled away. There was a time when all demonstrations and protests used to come to the university, to the Colaba. At the other side, they used to come near CCI. Then they were allowed to come to the Mantralaya also, or they were stopped 100 meters away from Mantralaya. Gradually, that has gone, and it has now been confined to like almost like a showpiece in one controlled area called Azad Maidan, and within Azad Maidan now, thanks to the metro, even a smaller place. But that's that part of the argument. I am sorry to say that this city has lost that spirit when thousands of people used to come on the street. And I'm not being romantic about the working class struggles of the textile mills, where you could see 100,000 people. Even student protests, I have seen no less than about 10,000. I have seen labor marches, and when you see the Dalits or the farmers coming to the city, you think to yourself that yes, that's what raising your voice should mean. So 500 people coming somewhere, etc., is by itself, according to me, a very sad state of affairs of a city which has completely lost its connect with any kind of, shall I say, protest culture. I'll give you another tiny example. There have been several threats to the media, and there have been hardly any protests on the streets by journalists. Need I say more? That's all.
I just want to add something towards that said about protest. As far as Azad Maidan is concerned, the High Court is directed. Maybe some judge was hearing a matter, some protest disturbed him, and he said, and the High Court is directed that you have to stop protest at Azad Maidan. Now that case is will be heard soon in High Court, because what we are saying is that you can't really stop people. But the second method which is used is, you see, they have something called 144. Now 144 is a section which allows the state or the police to say that in a given locality more than 5 people will not gather at any given for the next 15 days. Okay, they can have it for 15 days. Now this 144 is every 15 days renewed in South Bombay since last about 20 years. Okay, this is what they do. So they renew this 15 days thing every 15 days for last 20 years continuous. And thereby, if you try to gather more than 4 people, they'll say 144 hai chalo andar. You know, that kind of thing. So that's, and the third thing is that as far as protest is concerned, you see, I remember in earlier days when there used to be this protest in IIT. IIT campus, you know, it's a big campus. And the question was, the court was saying that it's a huge campus. I mean, those of you who have visited IIT know it's a huge campus. And the workers were protesting, and workers were asked to protest outside IIT. The argument was, look, we can't protest outside IIT. Who will see us? People who stay in IIT come out of IIT once in 6 months. If my protest has to have any significant meaning, it must reach the ears of those against whom I am protesting. Otherwise, what's the point? And that doesn't happen in Azad Maidan. So that's another thing which we have to be, clear about.
They also put up a board, which no one must have seen at Flora Fountain, saying that it's exactly this: more than 4 to 5 people cannot accumulate in this area. And then it disappears, then it comes back. So now I know why.
It's not known to people. I think we should tell everybody that there is such a thing happening. Because I don't know this.
Yeah.
A small announcement.
First time.
We have given you the forms. Before you go, kindly give us the feedback and hand out the forms to us near the door when you go. The second announcement is we are basically functioning on the contributions of the people. We are passing on the hat around. Kindly contribute whatever you can. Thank you.
Any further questions?
My name is Deepu, and the first time I've come to a PUCL meeting. Actually, the reason I've come here is because I've been working with various organizations for the last 30 years, and I'm realizing that we are in the 11th hour towards a dictatorship, and where there is a small window now left for us to still organize, get together, meet up, share our concerns. So most of the things the speakers that I heard were speaking were things that either I knew or we would research and find. But I wanted to know, and this is my my main concern of coming here is how we can convert this into a platform where, because now after a couple of hours we'll be all gone. And then what? So how do we take it to a level where, when we are get organized, or can we take it to a social media level, or where we are in a 24/7 discussion and getting into an organized mode? This is of concern.
Hi, I'm Smita. I work with an NGO called Point of View, and we are based in Bombay. I actually wanted to add something to the laws which are used to silence dissent. Last year, we actually did a research looking at Section 67 of the Information Technology Act. That section basically says that publication and transmission of any material that is lascivious or prurient is and aimed at depraving or corrupting people is not allowed under the Information Technology Act. It was a multi methodology research, and one of the methods that we used was to look at cases which have been filed under 67 in 2014, 15, and 16, and part of 17, because that's when we were writing up the research. What we found out was we gathered about 100 cases totally, and what we found out was this law was used in two ways majorly. One, it was filing cases which involve violation of consent as obscenity, which is the Section 67. That was one of the, which involves non-consensual transmission of photos and videos, which happens in case of jilted lovers or ex-partners, etc. The second, possibly the second highest usage of this law was to file cases of dissent. So, for example, a lot of cases, including when All India Bakshi did the roast, that was filed under this. When Tanmay Bhatt put out a video criticizing Lata Mangeshkar and Sachin Tendulkar, that was filed under this. When there was a poet, a Bengali poet who actually wrote against Yogi Adityanath, this was again under Section 67. One of the funnier cases was when RSS changed its uniform from khaki shorts to khaki pants. There was a photo circulated on the internet, which basically they photoshopped Mohan Bhagwat's photo, but the bottom half was of a woman wearing khaki pants and heels. The person who published the photo on Facebook again was filed under Section 67. Now, what is obscene here, I'm not entirely sure. One of the other famous cases which came under this was also the Snapchat video of Modi with dog ears and tongue. Here again, what is obscene? Is it the dog face? Is it Modi? We don't know. But it's very curious, because if you say that obscenity law is here to protect women or persons who are affected by non-consensual sharing of videos and images or rape videos, we already have a law for that, Section 66E, which actually addresses violation of privacy and violation of consent. Instead, this law, which is basically an internet version of Section 292, is being used more and more now to file cases which involve dissent. And a lot of them are also communal in nature, a lot of them are political in nature, and it's ignored completely, and they often don't even see if there's anything obscene involved, whatever obscene means. If there's a phone involved, it's filed under that. I just wanted to add this among laws which I used for this. Thank you.
I'd like to basically address what you just said. Sorry. I'd like to address what you just said, and I think we should understand something very clearly. First, the act that you mentioned, the Information Technology Act, was originally called the Information Technology Act of 1998. Okay? But guess what? It was passed in Parliament in a 5-minute session on the last day of Parliament of the winter session, in which some 20 acts were passed in 5 minutes without any discussion. Okay? So it was actually in 2000. So the name of the act became the IT Act 1998 brackets 2000. Okay? Then, for 6 years, they realized that this act was unenforceable. Why? Because this act was actually a model act which had been created by an institution called UNCITRAL, and it had been drafted by a bunch of corporate lawyers in India, okay, modified the UNCITRAL draft act, and basically what I'm trying to say is it was actually a private effort It was not, it was a private corporate supported effort to create an act for the information technology world which had no clear act governing it. There was the Post and Telegraph Act, the Telegraph Act of 1877. You know, so it was like seriously from a different century even. And an act was needed. But was the Indian, let's say, mechanism for drafting acts up to the job? It wasn't. And now today we see this, a repetition of this. By the way, the act was redrafted again in 2006. So it then became the IT Act 2006 bracket 2008 because again it took 2 years to pass it, and again it was passed in a 5-minute session with 20 other acts, okay, with no discussion taking place. So Parliament fell down extremely badly on the job of drafting the basic act. Once the act was drafted, they needed a set of rules to support the act, and the setting of the rules, the drafting of the rules, is a completely opaque process where none of us, no civil society, has any scope for even understanding how that takes place. We really don't know how that takes place. Now today we see that the only legislation to support this continuing travesty of UID, okay, is an Aadhaar Act. That's actually the name of the act, so I can orally give the name now. Okay, Aadhaar Act is drafted by a private consultation organization funded by the very person who started this UID in India. Okay, and again it's a private institution which put forth this act because it seems that the government has lost the capability of actually managing the process of drafting laws. So we're actually seeing a total breakdown of the government. We had a process. You're supposed to have a parliament. You're supposed to have standing committees to actually investigate how acts, whether they suit the constitution, whether to advise the 500 odd members of parliament, you know, whether they are in a position to vote for such an act or not. They're supposed to tell them, look, this is what the act is about, and based on your conscience you can make a vote. But they're not doing that job anymore, and in fact this particular act was not even passed to a standing committee. So this is what's happening now. We're having a situation where even the machinery of government, of what we think of as the legislature and so on, is not actually functioning at all. So that's a very serious situation, and forget civil society being able to dissent about it. You don't even have the government and the government processes being able to dissent about it because that amount of dissent has been taken away.
So I just, good evening, my name is Lara. While we're speaking about the threat to freedom of speech itself, somewhere we must also acknowledge the menace of fake news, and where does freedom of speech, what kind of borders and boundaries do we draw in the tackling of fake news? Things like what Coast Guard News is doing, or all the viral WhatsApp videos, and then this perverse voyeurism when it comes to videos about women, and this demand for like real rape videos. And how do we curtail that kind of a menace while not diluting the freedom of speech?
Thank you very much. Sir, I'm Saeed Suhail from Srinagar. I'm studying social work here. I just want to share my personal feeling right now here. I'm afraid, I can see a lot of people who know things are going wrong, who know policies are going wrong, knowing they are silent because they're afraid something will happen with us. Similarly happened with me. When I came to know about Kutwa incident, I spoke about it and shared on my social networking sites, and I got lots of threats, including my family. You should not do this because you'll be tomorrow harassed, booked. So you should not do this. So I think there's a lot of category of people who want to criticize the government, who want to criticize the policies, who are not in the best interest of the people, but they are silent. And it's a major concern in front of me, and why we should not remain silent. But we are silent because we are afraid something will happen with us. So I just want to know your opinion how we can overcome this.
I just following Deepu, I just want to intervene. And Sandhya, I'm part of PUCL ad hoc committee. Actually, all three speakers and others also who spoke made a very pertinent. There is a thread running through it. That today, whatever is happening, all of us are responsible for it because we have been silent. Whether it is a question of Aadhaar, if you take most of the citizens of this country, they just trusted this government, whichever started with Congress and now BJP. Nobody even questioned. That's why you have so many people just enrolling for Aadhaar without thinking twice that do I trust this government. So starting from there, or what Siddharth spoke about journalism or publications, that before the government clamps down on them, there is a willing submission to that. Starting from that, what came out is what people spoke, that what Bombay was in the 80s and the kind of protest which was going on and what is the situation today. All of us are responsible for it, and I feel that is why some of us felt the need to reinitiate the process of PUCL, and I would really suggest that people before leaving, if they would want to join PUCL, I think we can make an effort and try to change the situation before it is too late. So this is my appeal to people. There is an email ID at the bottom of this banner. So please communicate to us whether you would want to be part of the PUCL, and the next meeting that we call, it should not be just 10 or 12 people, but minimum 30-40 people to start with, where we can think of all these issues, including the issues which he spoke about, which is most of the people are not speaking, is what is happening to Kashmir today. You know, why Kashmir is burning and the whole India is just silent about it. And I think all these issues we need to be concerned with, and unless people come forward and join any kind of a collective, we will not be able to counter this. So I just wanted to intervene with this and say this much, that people do write to us and join this effort.
Hi, Sandhya. I just would like the panel to talk a bit about the web of conflict of interest which lies in the center of Aadhaar. Right from one point, my friend Mr. Vikram just mentioned, the firm which helped drafted the Aadhaar, draconian Aadhaar bill, I still call it the money bill, I don't call it the Aadhaar Act. It was passed in the dead of night, just in the upper house, as a money bill. Vithi for legal policy, that's their name. This forum a cabal of people, I would not name, but most probably all of you guys know whom we are talking about. The head of Aadhaar, right from UK days, Mr. Nathalal, his wife, Ms. Rohini Nilekani, has personally funded Vithi for legal policy, which has drafted the Aadhaar bill, and the head of Vithi also argued, was a petitioner from the government side, arguing against right to privacy. And we are yet to still discover the web of conflict of interest between Mr. Nilekani and his friends, investments in the various companies associated with India Stack. Who is India Stack? What is India Stack? India Stack is basically apparently a volunteer-led organization which is supposed to make all these apps related to Aadhaar, your eKYC, and all the leaks and IT snafus which we are finding. They are all courtesy from there. Apparently, I mean, it's all a bit hazy, and it's like a blind maze. Nobody knows who's developed what. They call themselves a volunteer organization. The moment they have to take responsibility, they say, "Oh, we are not part of the government." But then these are the chaps who are at the forefront of each and every development of Aadhaar, and each and every department which is mandating it. They are at the forefront of engaging and linking all these. So I would like the panel to maybe talk a bit about that. And one comment I'd like to make is just expanding a little bit on what Vikram mentioned, that biometrics. He said that 88% is a success rate, which means 12% is a failure rate, which is actually true in terms of the numbers per se. But it gives us a picture as if out of 100 crore people, let's say 12 crore people will always perpetually fail. But that's not true. What is going to happen is that
for every 10 transactions, 2 of your transactions are going to fail. And that includes each and every one of us in this room. So that 12% is not a constant number that these are the 12% people who are going to suffer. It is not always going to be the same set of people. Each and every individual one of us here in this room are going to suffer because of the, it's not even an architecture, I should just call it a bad scaffolding of design and patch-up work which they have done on Aadhaar. So if you have like 10 transactions throughout the day, and it will be more than that once everything is linked to it. They are coming up with Aadhaar-enabled ATMs. I believe some of the public ATMs are already out there. They are coming up with Aadhaar linking to your EPF. They have already done it. Apart from the 6 schemes, they have expanded it to a whole host of other schemes. So basically, throughout your day, you are supposed to be swiping your middle finger, not your your index finger. But I don't. All of us would like to do your middle finger. So you are expected to swipe your index finger 10 or 20 times a day as you go about your daily business. And of those 10 and 20 swipes, 2 or 3 swipes will fail. They have to fail just by the technology we have. So that's just one point which I wanted to mention. So don't be under the rules that okay, 12% लोगों को fail हो गया तो not a big deal. That's a hit which we have to take in order for the nation to progress. That's the argument which is being proposed by some of the people who are supporting Aadhaar. We have to take some sacrifice. And because right now, as you see on social media, most of the stories of failures by print come because of the thankless job being done by Ms. Usha Ramanathan and John Rees in Jharkhand and in Namchi and in Chhattisgarh, I believe, for the PDS work which they were doing the groundwork. Most of the failure stories are coming from there. So I see in social media a lot of attitude about even people who are not supposed to have, but they are very complacent. People like us, people like us in these rooms. People are very complacent. I have a job, my salary. Bank account, as long as I bring my bank account, I don't care. But it is going to hit you. You don't know when, you don't know where, but it is going to hit you at the least expected moment. And that is when you will be crying for help and nobody will be there. So we should be all complacent.
My name is Alfred Aramban, and I want to add on to what this lady and Deepu said a little while earlier, that most of all know what is being discussed, and what I would like to see is what's the way forward. And starting today and by enrolling in PUCL, we need to see how we can take positive steps towards the chilling future that Mihir kind of painted to us. It sent shocks down my spine. That if there is no appeal to the Supreme Court judgment, just calling it a black day is not good enough. We need to know what we can do now, what we should do now, how can we get together and do something different. We all know that the impeachment of the CJI is not going to give us any results. So the enlightened ones among you have to lead us and tell us what can we do. The chilling thing about what Mihir said is using the Criminal Act against any form of dissent. Merely, forget Maharashtra, you can be called off any part of India. And how do we protect ourselves? I mean, simply to say that they are stifling dissent, it's a fact that they are really putting us down. And mere mortals like us, what can we do? The only thought, and I'm publicly stating this, that has been coming to me from the time I was a student, and Mihir and I go about 40 years back, is that sometimes it's wiser not to come out in the open and support others who are bold enough, or create decoys so that you can't get attacked, but you are the force behind, and play with masks or play with be silent. But we need to formulate and come out with some solutions, because what it seems otherwise at the end of the day is that we know, we have heard of all this happening, but kya kare? So I hope by the end of the day there is some discussion on what is the way forward to overcome these things. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, I'm MJ Pandey. In a world where the word class is becoming unfashionable, I'd just like to make a short comment that what we are seeing today are only appearances of actually what is a deep crisis of accumulation in India. And all this thing should be seen in the context that this is benefiting a particular class. All that we are talking about today is benefiting a particular class. And unless we understand that a class war is being waged from above, where the voices of dissent, basically the right to organize, the right to protest, and the right to loot this country. If you see, there's another kind of imperialism happening, but blocks and bits of our country are being sold away. All kinds of laws are being changed. So we need to emphasize this context that there is a big class war being waged from above, and unless the popular forces are organized to defeat this, we are going to be in minorities. If you see, the internet class has already bought into the fact that there is no alternative. Siddharth talks about all kinds of things, but basically journalists have bought into the fact that there is no alternative. There are several laws which are passed for journalists. Journalists never fight for them. Orders are passed by the Supreme Court. Journalists do nothing to implement it. There is a basis for that. And unless we understand the basis in this crisis, you look at industrial production, you look at employment, you look at demand, there's a huge crisis here. And all these things are being done for the Ambanis and the Adanis and the Mahindras and the various people who operate in this country and who have links with the state. We need to emphasize this repeatedly. These are just appearances. The real problem is elsewhere.
Hello, I'm Shadan. I have just only one question for you. जो भी बातें यहाँ हुई, हमने जो सुनी, हमने जो डिस्कस किया, मैं बस ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि आपके पास उसे टैकल करने के लिए, उसे हैंडल करने के लिए क्या प्रोग्राम है? What is your plan? That is the point.
Can I just yeah.
I'd just like to draw a straight line between 1974, 75 and today. It's quite poignant that we have such a wonderful crowd here expressing, I think, dismay at where we have arrived, and of course the panel has outlined that both carefully and I think collectively. I had joined the government of India as a young officer in 1974-75 and was given charge of Bombay West Division and Thana Division for the Ministry of Communications. One of the first dilemmas that I was faced with was a direct call from the Chief of the Press Censor Board of India during the emergency. One, that every letter that comes through Bombay West Division for all post and telegraph and telephone offices west of the Western Railway track, from Cuff Parade up to Versova, have to be steam opened at the Postal Research Center at San Francisco. This was not under a BJP government, it was under a Congress. I think you outlined. Second, there was a wonderful journalist at that point in time who used to publish a pamphlet called Opinion. I think it was a Parsi ICS officer, I forget his name. And he used to get, under the Indian Post Office Act, bulk concessional post facilities. When he had written a very hard-hitting editorial against the government when Mr. Gandhi declared that I want to hold free and frank elections, and of course they questioned that, to hold them in 2 months. It's not free and frank because these people's networks have been broken, their organization capacity has been broken, so it needs to be longer. Again, I got a call, bypassing the Postmaster General, the Ministry of Communications, directly saying you will not allow the release of those bulk concessional facility-based posting. And of course, the most interesting part of that exercise was that the inspectors, the superintendents on the ground said, sir, you have to release. And I had a fantastic boss, not boss, but bosses at that time, directors in the bureaucracy, Postmaster General, Mr. Arunachal, and others in Delhi said, Kishore, just release it and take a holiday and go to Goa. And that's what I did. I was young, so I said, good, I'll do it. And I had the support of my bosses. So even within the deep state, there was support. And I believe that in this country there is an essential decency right to And we have to mobilize. We have to mobilize. And of course, I released it, nothing happens, and a few years later we had elections and things went on. Of course, they broke down. But we've seen a gradual descent to the point where you have the Hyde Park of India in a corner of Azad. Now, that is a travesty. I completely empathize with Sitaram. When I was studying at the Rajabhai Tower in the life, it was a joy to listen to all those, that cacophony of democracy, where you had hartals of this kind, unions of that kind coming through. It's absolute, it's gone silent. It's gone from 300, 250, 30. In the Aam Aadmi Party, 50, 60 show up in Bombay, not more so. There could be so many more. There could be so many more. So I think it is possible. The question is the following. And I don't expect an answer right now, but I think it will reflect. Is this gradual decline in such a beautiful culture, is it institution? Is it culture? There is no secular literature, there is only religious literature. Or is it much deeper? It crosses the parties, and it's part of our bureaucracy, it's part of our intelligentsia, it's part of a class interest, which you mentioned, which is very deep, where the accumulation of capital and concentration of capital and the use of modern technology to actually exacerbate the differences. Thank you.
Just wanted to quickly respond to one or two things. See, a lot of people have asked the question as to what is the plan of action? Okay? What do we do now? Okay? There was a time when PUCL was very active in Maharashtra. Then there came a time when PUCL was not so active. I mean, people who had done very good work earlier became not so active over a period of time. And a new team has now trying to rebuild PUCL. And this is the first meeting, okay, of PUCL, public meeting. We are planning to, we would love for PUCL to grow, to work in collaboration with various other organizations, with, and we would love everybody here to participate in its efforts. And please remember, we don't have a plan. The plan will have to come from all of us. It's not something which I have a blueprint about as to what to do. None of us have a blueprint like that. We need, I mean, as they say, I mean, today is chaos. So many people can't sit, etc. But as they say that chaos always leads to a dancing star. So hopefully it will lead to that in future. So we are not in a position to give answers except the answer that we need to work together. We are facing a major problem, major crisis today. We need to battle against that crisis. We can't keep quiet against that crisis. We need to battle together against that crisis. How do we go about it? Is something which we can all sit down together and discuss. In an organization, in a coalition, in a network, whatever it is. That is something which we need to sit together, we need to participate together and work on. So my request would be that while PUCL exists, we would want all of you to be part of it. It's on stage, whatever stage, today, tomorrow, after 1 month, after 1 year, think about it. But we would love if you are part of it. The Gmail is given here, the forms are given for people who want to join. It's an absolutely voluntary organization, it's not a funded organization, it doesn't get funds or something, it's a voluntary based effort. All forms are with Alex there, he will give you forms. So that's one aspect. That we are trying to build something collectively. It's not 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%. Collectively we are trying to build something so that we can deal with and in that collective effort, we would want everybody to be a part of. That's one thing. Second thing about now coming back to a little more mundane thing like freedom of speech. what you mentioned about Section 67 of the IT Act. As we all know, Section 66A of the IT Act initially provided for a broad range of criminalization in respect of speech on internet. That was struck down by the Supreme Court in Shreya Singh's case, where they said that 66 is too wide, it has to be struck down. So now the police are using 67. That is what has happened. And even if 67 goes, they will continue using sedition, they will continue using 153A, they will continue using other things. So, while I talked mainly about the penal code and its the criminalization through penal code, there are other acts like International Information Technology Act, you have the Official Secrets Act, you have even the Customs Act, you have various laws. Okay, you have the UAPA, which is used to brand tribals as Naxalites and put them in jail for years together. So you have various laws which are being used to stifle dissent. And I only give examples of Indian Penal Code because that is something which is common to all across the country.
No, I just want to specifically address the question about fake news. So I think we require, I think we'll require a full day's seminar to discuss fake news, but I must honestly tell you that there are various kinds of fake news. One is deliberate spreading of information which is untrue, and one is story that you have not researched properly, etc. And the third is done with complete malicious intent. I won't talk about postcard news because I don't think it is worth even addressing. That gentleman is now being arrested, and nobody has picked it up as a threat to the freedom of speech, etc. because he was doing really, he was spreading communal disharmony, and that is a side which has, also gone after us in a very big way. But there are sides which are less